The Diplomat and the Predator. Marcus Webb straightened his diplomatic jacket as he stepped into the Chrystalline Observation Lounge of Nexus Prime Station. The artificial gravity felt lighter here on the upper diplomatic levels, where conversations could reshape entire star systems. Through the transparent aluminum windows, 3 different suns cast rainbow patterns across the station's hull, creating an almost dreamlike atmosphere. But Marcus wasn't here for the view. The Terran coalition had sent him to negotiate mining rights with the Felinian Empire. It was a delicate mission, one that required precision, patience, and the ability to lie convincingly with a smile. His eyes scanned the room. Diplomats clustered in their factions, reptilian Throtsy murmured in vibrating tones, Etherborn shimmered faintly in their containment suits, and the Felinian delegation stood apart, draped in sleek formal wear tailored for their lithe, feline forms. That's when he saw her. She stood alone near the curved wall, framed by the cosmos beyond. Her fur was deep midnight blue, streaked with silver that caught the light like starlight on ocean waves. She wore a high-collared diplomatic uniform that hugged her frame with tailored precision, and her tail swayed lazily, yet purposefully, as she studied a floating holographic star chart. Marcus found himself staring. Not just because she was beautiful, though she was, but because there was something mesmerizing about her. The way she held herself, confident, poised, and completely unbothered by the whirlwind of galactic politics around her. There was intelligence in the way her golden eyes tracked the data, and grace in the subtle movements of her ears and whiskers. Then her tail snapped. It cracked the air like a whip, missing Marcus' chest by inches. The sound echoed through the lounge. Conversations halted. "You were staring," she said. Her voice was melodious, smooth, with an accent he couldn't quite place. It carried across the room with precise control. Marcus blinked. "I was. I apologize if that offended you." Her ears twitched. Most humans look away when confronted. "You didn't." "Should I have?" he asked, genuinely curious. Her golden eyes narrowed slightly, but something unreadable flickered in them. "Perhaps." She turned back to her star chart. Marcus hesitated, unsure if the moment had ended, but before he could move away, she added, "Though now you're not looking at all." Marcus chuckled softly. "I'm getting mixed signals." "Look, don't look, apologize, don't apologize." Are all Felinian protocols this difficult to decipher? A soft rumble escaped her throat. A laugh. Barely. Only when the human is worth the complexity. She turned and offered a half-smile. "I am Zara Night Whisper, Ambassador of the Felinian Outer Territories. Marcus Webb, Terran Coalition Special Envoy." He moved closer, careful to respect the unspoken boundaries. "I believe our governments are supposed to hate each other." "Supposed to," she echoed. "But reality often disagrees with expectation." The lights dimmed slightly as the station rotated, changing the angles of light across her fur. Marcus noticed the way her pupils adjusted, the subtle flick of her tail, the twitch of whiskers when she thought deeply. She was, without question, the most captivating alien he'd ever encountered. "Your reputation precedes you, Ambassador Night Whisper," he said. 3 consecutive diplomatic victories. The Iron Negotiator, they call you. "And you," she said, "are the Ghost Walker." 17 successful missions, including the Centauri delegate rescue. Marcus bowed slightly. "What can I say? I walk quietly." "I suspect," she said, "there's more to you than that." A chime interrupted them. The station's overhead system came to life. All diplomatic personnel to Conference Bay 7 for preliminary discussions. Zara's ears tilted backward in distaste. "The dance begins," she murmured. "Walk with me, Marcus Webb. Let's see if we can navigate the space between duty and desire." As they moved toward the exit, eyes followed them. A Terran and a Felinian walking side by side was notable. But it was the tension between them that turned heads, a tension more personal than political. "One question," Marcus said as they reached the corridor. "The tail thing. Is that a warning or a mating display?" Zara's laughter was soft and melodic. "Among my people, the difference isn't always clear." Her tail brushed lightly against his arm. "Perhaps," she said, "you'll have the chance to find out." Claws and whispers in the underbelly. Marcus adjusted the strap of the sidearm concealed beneath his formal jacket. Diplomatic protocol discouraged weapons, but experience taught him that protocol rarely stopped bullets or energy bolts. Especially not in Nexus Prime's lower levels. Zara had changed. The crisp uniform of a dignitary was gone, replaced with dark, functional gear. Her belt held a compact scanner, a folded blade, and something that looked suspiciously like a thermal disruptor. She wore it all like she'd been born with it. "This doesn't feel like diplomacy," Marcus muttered. "It's not," Zara replied, glancing over her shoulder. "This is survival." They moved through the slums beneath the station's pristine upper decks, the underbelly where neon signs buzzed in languages Marcus couldn't read and the air stank of ozone, grease, and desperation. Felinien eyes tracked them from behind smoke-veiled stalls and narrow alleys. Trust was currency here, and neither of them had much. There, Zara nodded to a bar with no signage. Dim, metallic, and pulsing with deep bass from inside. Vex Place. "He's not here now, but someone will talk. And if they don't?" Zara smiled without warmth. "Then we encourage them. Gently." Inside, the bar was a den of heat and shadow. The scent of burned stimulants lingered. Species from a dozen systems mingled in tense silence, and everyone looked like they were one wrong glance from drawing a blade. Zara approached the bartender, a massive Felinien with graying fur and an eye patch. He blinked once at her. "Little Night Whisper," he growled. "What fire are you dancing with now?" "Torvin," she said evenly. "We need information. Convoy raids. Unauthorized strikes. Who's funding them?" He chuckled. "Information costs. Especially when you drag a coalition ghost walker into my bar." Marcus kept his posture relaxed, but his hand hovered close to his sidearm. Torvin glanced at the gesture and smirked. "He's with me," Zara said. "He doesn't shoot unless I say. Or unless someone deserves it," Marcus added. Torvin gave a slow nod. "Check the side tunnels. Rumors say weapons move through them before every strike. Anonymous shipments, masked codes. Someone's puppeteering this war. And they're good." Marcus leaned in. "Someone who wants the mining agreement to collapse. Who benefits if our two governments go to war. Ask your own people that," Torvin said. "They might know." Zara's ears twitched. The door behind them opened. Marcus turned just in time to see station security enter, 6 officers in dark armor. Not normal patrol gear. Elite rapid response. Torvin swore under his breath. "Get out. Back door. Now." Zara didn't hesitate. She grabbed Marcus' arm and pulled him toward the shadowed corridor behind the bar. But the guards were fast. "Ambassador Night Whisper. Special Envoy Webb." The voice rang out. "Captain Rhodus." Cold eyes, clipped tone. "You are wanted for questioning regarding unauthorized access to restricted areas." "This is a misunderstanding," Marcus began. Rhodus raised his weapon. Zara reacted first. In a blur of fur and fury, she leapt, claws extended. She hit the nearest guard, knocking him off his feet. Marcus ducked behind an overturned table as energy bolts lanced the air. He returned fire, covering Zara as she rolled and lashed with tail and blade. "This way," Torvin shouted, revealing a hidden floor hatch. "Go," Marcus shouted, but turned to fire another shot. Zara was pinned, caught behind a scorched table. Marcus ran back, vaulted over cover, and landed beside her. "Told you I don't leave people behind." Her eyes met his. Wild. Furious. Grateful. "Then let's go." They dove through the hatch, landing in a maintenance tunnel below. Darkness enveloped them. Zara pulled the hatch shut just as blast struck it from above. She panted, fur singed, eyes blazing. "Why did you come back for me?" Marcus met her gaze. "Because you're not just a diplomat. You're the only one telling the truth." Zara looked away, her voice low. "We're in deeper than you think. Someone's watching everything. And not just station security. Your people." She hesitated. "Or yours. Maybe both." The tunnel curved, leading them into the skeletal remains of an old cargo bay. Now, it was a shelter, tent panels, Huddled refugees, forgotten by the station's upper crust. Safe house, she explained. Torvin keeps this running for people who fall between the cracks. Marcus looked around. So now what? We hide. Zara shook her head. We dig. And we expose whoever set this up. But first, we find out who's pulling the strings. Her expression hardened. And we start with my brother. Siblings and betrayals. The cargo bay was quiet, too quiet. Makeshift walls of scrap metal and worn synthcloth formed private cubicles where outcasts whispered or slept. Low lights flickered. The hum of ancient machinery echoed like ghostly breaths. Zara sat with Marcus in the heart of it all, her claws tapping against a repurposed crate that served as a table. A cracked screen embedded in the wall sputtered static before stabilizing into a secure transmission interface. Marcus leaned forward. Are you sure your contact will answer? Zara didn't look at him. He always answers. Especially when he thinks he can rub something in my face. The screen flickered. Then resolved into a feline face. Silver fur. Sharp green eyes. Cruel smile. Hello, sister, said the figure. Zara went rigid. Marcus recognized danger instantly. This wasn't just a contact. This was personal. Vex, she said, voice like steel wrapped in velvet. You've been busy. You shouldn't be surprised, Vex replied, reclining in some decadent command chair. After all, we both inherited Mother's talent for manipulation. Only one of us uses it to hurt people. He laughed, the sound like shattering glass. No, you just sign away their resources. Didn't you wonder why every treaty you've negotiated turned out so advantageous? For me, that is. Marcus stepped in. You set her up. Brilliant deduction, human, Vex said. She signed the papers. I merely wrote the invisible clauses. Shadow corporations. Hidden riders. Legal shell games. And now the convoys. All just part of the plan. To destabilize, provoke, and position myself as the solution. Zara stood. You betrayed our people. I guided them. Away from stagnation. Toward strength. We can't survive on peace alone. But you were too soft to see that. The screen flickered again. And now you've become a liability. Zara reached for the panel. Cut the line. Don't bother, Vex said. I've already sent Rhodus. He'll clean up this mess. Goodbye, sister. Static. Alarms began to scream across the cargo bay. Red lights bathed the space in blood tones. Station lockdown initiated, came the automated voice. Security breach in Sector Gamma, 7. Zara turned to Marcus. We run. Now. But Marcus didn't move. No more running. You said it yourself. We need proof. We get it from him. Zara hesitated. The fire in her golden eyes returned. He keeps everything on his ship. The Whisper's Edge. Biometric locks, encrypted backups. That's our target. Suicidal, Marcus said. Strategic, she corrected. And you're the only human I trust to walk into hell with me. Marcus offered a tight smile. Then let's make hell regret letting us in. The heart of the storm. The high-security docking bay of Nexus Prime shimmered beneath layered shields and precision scanners. Above, the Whisper's Edge floated like a blade of obsidian glass, sleek and deadly. Vex's private vessel was everything a shadow player would own, stealth-lined, over-defended, and full of secrets. Zara crouched with Marcus inside a hollowed maintenance shaft, both dressed for infiltration. She wore matte tactical gear, her fur smeared with cooling paste to block thermal sensors. Marcus had stripped down to flexible armor, the insignias gone. This is madness, he whispered. Zara grinned, all fangs. This is family. They slipped into the waste disposal conduit. It reeked of industrial chemical breakdown and recycled decay. They crawled in silence, passing ancient service droids, until Zara pointed upward. We're under Deck 3, she mouthed. Marcus nodded, lifting the panel. Together, they emerged into a disused service corridor of the Whisper's Edge. Security office first, Marcus said, checking his scanner. Loop their cameras. Zara moved like liquid shadow. They incapacitated one guard silently. The next wasn't as quiet. An alarm blipped faintly. Hurry, she snapped. They reached the surveillance hub. Marcus hacked the feed, initiating a 20-minute loop. Sweat beaded down his temple. Go. Now. Vex's private quarters were locked with a tri-tier security panel. Biometric scan. Voice authentication. Retinal pass. Zara pulled out a small case. Genetic sample from our last formal dinner. Voice clip from his last transmission. And she slipped on a contact lens, retinal pattern. Family medical archives. The lock hissed open. The chamber was an ego's sanctuary, gold-lit, covered in trophies from interstellar treaties, weapons from a dozen wars, and a throne-like command chair. But the terminal behind the false wall was their target. Marcus activated it. Encrypted files bloomed across the screen, troop movement logs, communications, payoff records, even visuals of Rhodas accepting bribes. Zara stood silent, absorbing the scope. You were never a fool, Marcus said gently. You trusted too deeply. We all do. Zara didn't reply. Download everything, she said. As Marcus worked, she stepped closer. You came back for me. Again. You didn't need to ask. She touched his face. Claws soft against skin. Eyes fierce. When this is over, she whispered, I'll show you how Felinien say thank you. He swallowed hard. I'll hold you to that. The download reached 92%. Then the ship shook. We have company, Marcus said. The door exploded inward. Vex. Not a screen, not a transmission. The real Vex Shadowclaw stood there in battle armor, flanked by 2 elite guards. You should have run, he growled. Zara stepped forward. And you should have remembered who trained me. The siblings lunged. Fire and fur. The room ignited with movement. Zara met her brother in a flash of claws and fury. They crashed into each other like ancient predators, silver and midnight colliding beneath the glow of flickering alarms. Vex's armored gauntlet caught her shoulder, but she twisted, using his own momentum to throw him against the control panel. Sparks burst from the wall. Downloads at 95%, Marcus shouted, crouched near the terminal as plasma fire lit the chamber. Hold him a little longer. I'm trying, Zara growled. Vex swung back with brutal precision. They were evenly matched, same training, same instincts, but where Zara moved with speed and strategy, Vex fought like a blunt weapon, overpowering. Marcus fired 2 shots, downing one of the guards. The other flanked him. Marcus ducked and slammed his elbow into the soldier's neck, then fired point blank. His hands trembled, but he stayed on task. Zara and Vex tumbled across the floor. He pinned her. His claws extended. You always lack the will, he hissed. No, she snarled, kneeing him in the gut, flipping him with a grunt of pain. I chose not to become a monster. Marcus slammed the terminal closed, clutching the data drive. Zara. She spun as Vex reached for a blade. In one motion, she seized the weapon from his hand, turned it, and drove it into his shoulder. He gasped, not in pain, but shock. I'll tell the galaxy everything, she said, breath ragged. Your lies, your crimes, your greed. Vex fell back, bleeding, unable to rise. Alarms intensified. The whisper's edge was in lockdown. Go, Zara shouted to Marcus. I'll cover you. Not without you. Damn it, human. He grabbed her, pulling her with him as they ran down the corridor, dodging sparks and klaxons. Security bots activated, but Marcus used a stolen override key to jam the doors. Behind them, Vex screamed her name. They emerged into the upper hangar. Fire suppression systems activated as power surged across the docking bay. Zara hit her comm, send it. To every system. Open release. In orbit, her ship, the Silver Dusk, responded. Across the stars, transmissions began. Encrypted files. Video recordings. Names. Proof. By the time Coalition and Felinian High Command received the data, the galaxy was already shaking. In the silence of a diplomatic hearing chamber days later, Zara stood tall. "I acted to preserve the peace," she said to the gathered leaders. "And to destroy the rot hiding inside it." Vex was tried in absentia, his name now synonymous with treachery. Rhodus had been arrested by his own men. Marcus returned to Coalition space a hero. But he didn't stay. 1 week later, he stood outside the observation window on the Felinian vessel Silver Dusk. Stars drifted by. Zara appeared beside him. "Still staring?" she asked. "Always. You don't have to look away anymore." He turned. She leaned in. Her fur brushed his skin. Her breath was warm. "You never growled when I stared," he whispered. "No," she said, smiling against his lips. "But I would have pouted if you stopped." The kiss that followed wasn't diplomatic. It was wild and soft and real. And somewhere in the stars beyond, peace endured, because two enemies chose to fight for each other instead. Stars don't forget. Months had passed since the data drop that shook the galactic balance. The Whisper's edge was seized. The Coalition purged half its corrupt cabinet. The Felinian High Council was undergoing its largest restructure in history. Trade routes were being redrawn. Alliances reforged. And yet, amid all the sweeping reforms and media storms, two names kept surfacing: Ambassador Zara Night Whisper and Special Envoy Marcus Webb. Not because they were the loudest. Not because they held the highest ranks. But because they had dared to walk away from protocol, and walk toward truth. Zara stood in a courtyard of silver foliage aboard the Felinian diplomatic carrier Heart of Dusk. The leaves shimmered with captured starlight. Wind, simulated but real enough, carried the scent of deep space lavender. Her fur had regrown over her old wounds. Her uniform bore no insignia now. She was done being someone else's emblem. Marcus arrived quietly. No fanfare. Just his steps and the soft crunch of crystal grass underfoot. "You know," he said, stepping beside her, "every time you look this peaceful, I get suspicious." Zara's whiskers twitched. "Maybe I'm evolving." "You evolve?" "I've been spending too much time with a reckless human." "You mean a human who saved your life, wrecked his career, and helped tear down a shadow empire?" "That one." Marcus smiled. "He sounds charming." Zara turned to him. "They want me to rejoin the council. Oversee the reconstruction talks. And I told them no." Marcus blinked. "No. They expect me to play the old game, wear the old masks. I'm not that diplomat anymore." "So what are you now?" She stepped closer. Her golden eyes didn't blink. "I'm someone who's choosing her own path." Marcus nodded slowly. "And is there room on that path for a certain ex-ghost walker?" Zara tilted her head. "Only if he understands what it means." "Try me." She leaned in, brushing her tail against his arm. "It means we don't run from the hard things. Not anymore. We face them. Together." He took her hand. Warm. Strong. No hesitation. "Then together, it is." Above them, the stars shimmered. Far off, newsfeeds still whispered their names. Children played games pretending to be Zara and Marcus. Fleets patrolled trade routes protected by treaties forged in the fallout of their rebellion. But here, beneath the silver trees, none of that mattered. What mattered was the silence. The peace. And the fierce, gentle way they looked at each other, like two souls who had finally stopped pretending. She no longer growled when he stared. He no longer looked away. And in the quiet between them, the galaxy exhaled. The end.